Hey y'all, just wanted to provide a little bit of an intro before we get started into the debate. So there is a moment during the calling, which is completely unrelated to this video, but honestly it was just so funny that I had to include it. So for those that are not aware, I have a gentleman who occasionally likes to call into my stream, and they have a bit of a history with me. Their name is Stinkdink, or at least people refer to them as Stinkdink. Anyway, they decided to call into my show, and I'm going to just play a quick clip of Stinkdink's previous interactions, which is really hilarious.
No, I don't know. Because the reason why you don't is because you keep going back and forth into these non-tangential areas, and that's what fucking pisses me off about all you fucking debate bros.
It's not a dumb tangential area. I'm trying to establish what is the
You're too busy playing your fucking game.
And so what I would say is stick to the very end of this debate, because at the very end, we got Stinkdink calling back in to provide his feedback, which I think is very entertaining, and so I thought that I should include it at the end of the debate. So stay tuned to the very end.
What's going on? How are you?
Not much. What do you want to talk about?
I want to debate you on your first hot thing on the hot take list. Trans women are women and trans men are men. Are you down to debate that, or would you prefer to talk about something else?
Sure, we can talk about that.
When you say trans women or I guess when you say trans women, what exactly are you referring to?
Their gender is separate from their sex. Their gender is woman. They are biologically a man.
Yeah. So I'm saying, in your opinion, is trans women or women, is that an equivalent statement to people who identify as women or women?
No, because you're kind of divorcing the concept of gender. There's an internal sense of how you feel your sex is, and it is dictated often by hormones as well as how you are born. Your genetics is a huge imperative of how you feel internally.
Okay. So I guess I was trying to. So you would agree with me that gender is something that is socially constructed, that exists.
I believe there's aspects of gender that are socially constructed.
Okay, so what is the difference between sex and gender in your opinion?
Sex is going to be things like your XX chromosomes, XY chromosomes, large gametes, small gametes, secondary sex characteristics, primary sex characteristics, typical of XX or XY chromosomes. That would be sex. And gender is going to be an internal sense of what you feel your sex is. It could also be norms dictated by society, which may be biologically motivated or not.
Okay, I guess I'm a little confused, because it sounds like, at least with your definition of sex, it sounds like what you're saying is that is the biological side of what we're talking about, right? Is that fair?
To some extent, yes.
Okay, because it seems like there's kind of two, and I don't want to use the word sex and I don't want to use the word gender, because it sounds like sex and gender.
You don't want to use the word sex and gender to talk about trans people?
Well, no, because what I'm getting at is that sex and gender, it sounds like from hearing you talk about it, they're kind of two aspects of the same thing. Do you know what I'm
saying? Gender is dictated by your biology. So in that sense, it would be predicated on the same thing. But sex and gender are two separate things in the sense that it is describing two different phenomenon. Distinct.
Yeah, okay. So you said that gender is, I forget the word exactly. You said gender is like informed by your biology or something like that?
Yeah, I believe that it's neurochemically constructed. Okay,
so would it be possible for a person who is biologically male, right? They have the male reproductive organs, the chromosomal configuration you typically find in men, all that stuff, who has the neurobiology that you would also find in men, right?
Uh-huh.
Like a quote-unquote male brain, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Is it possible for that person to feel like a woman and identify as a woman and operate in society as a woman?
I suppose so, but that would be very rare.
Well, I didn't ask if it was rare. I asked if it was possible because
maybe given your strict hypothetical, I suppose so.
Yeah, so that person in that situation would be a transgender woman, right?
Yes, if they identified that way.
Okay, yeah. So everything about their biology, everything about anything that's innately, physically part of them, would be quote unquote male, right? Would be how typically, their sex would be male, right? But their gender in that situation would be female, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess you're agreeing with me then that gender is social and sex is biological,
No.
right? Okay. How do you square that with what you just said, that someone who is completely 100% male biologically can
Well,
still
because
be a
you
woman
provided a
as far as
hypothetical
the gender
that likely doesn't even exist in reality. I'm not actually aware of any case where someone does not exhibit transgender traits that cannot be shown in the biology. I think over when there was discussing the subcortical volumes of the brain, they found that 98% of the self-reported transgender were possessed these subcortical volumes in the brain. I mean, maybe it's possible that you have that extra 2% where it's entirely social and it has no predication in the biology. But then it comes into the question, okay, well, what is their qualia? How can we possibly say that, what they're experiencing isn't anywhere valid? Of course, it could be valid. Ultimately, when it comes to any kind of psychological condition, that you kind of have to take a person's word for it into account.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and that's kind of what I was getting at, is that, I think, and this isn't the point I'm trying to make. I'm trying to get this out of the way because what I'm going to say after this relies on this. That when we're talking about gender and we're talking about respecting people's gender identities, if we're going to take gender identities to be a real thing, it's not like when someone identifies as a woman, you ask to see their reproductive system or you ask to get a chromosomal test on them or something.
Yep.
And of course you don't ask to see a brain scan of them, right? You don't ask what levels of certain hormones. So because the physical, and everything I just said would be a physical characteristic, right? Because the physical characteristics do not inform how we gender someone, to me, that points to gender being social and sex being biological, no?
Well, that would be under the assumption that the biology doesn't infer the way somebody feels internally, which it does.
Well, no, it does, and that's why over 99% of people identify with the sex they were born with, right? But
yes,
there's
and then also the transgender people, when we
about.
Analyze their brain, they literally have physically different brain morphology.
Well, yeah, but again, just I can say, if I were to say right now, because over 99% of people, not transgender people, just people, right? Because over 99% of people identify with the sex they were born with, we shouldn't really talk about the other 1% because they're not important.
I never said that. I would apply a person's qualia into account.
No, but I'm saying that if you're agreeing with me, right, that if every single part of someone's biology, right, from their neuro whatever in their brain to their genitals to the reproductive system to their chromosomes, everything else, right, if everything about that person is a certain sex or gender or whatever, right, if everything about that person is male, but they identify as a woman and they, go through society as a woman, you would say that person's a woman, correct?
Yeah, that's their internal qualia. I have no way of refuting their qualia. I don't know what they're going through.
Their qualia? What's that word you said, qualia? I don't know what that is.
It's an internal sense. It can only really be... think about it this way. I could sit here and I can talk to you about, say... Actually, you know what? Probably better. I can describe to you what echolocation is, right? We could talk about the wavelengths. We can have a giant book talking about echolocation and its functionality. We can talk about bats and how they use echolocation. We could talk about all of that. Sure. But what it is like to experience echolocation is not possible for a human. Humans don't have echolocation powers. We don't have that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can, I don't know, yell in a square room or something. But like the bat's experience of echolocation is likely different from the experience of us trying to echolocate. And so that experience, that like it's like this internal perception of how things are. Nobody knows how you think or how you feel when you think something. You just kind of tell people, oh, I feel this way, and then that's it.
Sure.
Right? We kind of take their word for it. We don't like question whether or not that like it's valid, or you know what I mean? Like it has, like if someone has depression, they tell you I have depression, I just take their word for it. You know? Like you don't go like, no, you don't. You're just sad. Like, you see what I mean? Like, what do you know what they're going through?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the issue of gendering people, in a certain way, it's not based on how they feel. It's based on how they present.
No, it is based on how they feel.
Well, no, it's not, because I could. So I'm a dude,
if I
right?
never ever change the way I look, but I feel a specific way, by your light, you would say that that person's not trans. They have to be like in a dress or whatever and wear makeup if they're.
You have to be
born
performing as a woman to be a woman, yeah.
Oh.
Like for example, right? For example, right? I'm a dude, right? I'm biologically a dude. I identify as a dude. I'm male as far as any biological metric or social metric. I'm a dude, right? If I feel like,
but no, wait, I don't believe you.
Okay. That's valid. Here's the thing, though, is that if I...
How do I know that you're a dude?
Right? Here, just hold on. If I feel like a woman, right? I don't express this to anyone, but like in my soul, right? I feel like a woman, and like that's just how I am, right? In no way, regardless of political ideology, regardless of anything else, right? In no way am I a woman in any sense of the word, because there's no...
By sex.
Thing. I'm sorry?
By sex.
By sex or by gender, because in no way does anyone in no way does anything outside of my brain acknowledge that I'm a woman, right?
Sure, but we're referring to gender, and so it wouldn't necessarily be something that can be exhibited in, say, secondary sex characteristics.
I mean, it sounds like, even though you kind of had a hard time saying it, it sounds like we agreed that gender is social, because I already gave you the example.
There are aspects of gender that are certainly social, such as drinking a Cosmopolitan or wearing dresses is an entirely social thing. It has nothing to do with any biology. Right? There's an aspect of gender that is exhibited in a cultural way. And that part is social. But I think that like the subcortical volumes of your brain that are differently shaped, which, is a result of hormones that were present at an embryonic stage that would not typically be present, that would be a biological imperative, not a social imperative.
Okay, but that thing you just said with the volumes of things in your brain, that's not how we as a society determine who's a woman and who's a man.
No, but a person's behavior changes because of that.
Your behavior changes because of the things in your brain. Okay, that doesn't really have to do with what I was talking about, though.
Well, it means because, it's biologically based. It has a basis in biology.
It's biologically informed. It's not biologically based. No. I mean, I feel like we're talking in circles, but a person who identifies...
What does it mean to be biologically informed versus biologically based?
Biologically informed means there's biological influences on it, but biology isn't the end-all be-all of it. Biologically based means that biology is the end-all be-all of it. So, for example...
if someone is a redhead, is that biologically based or is that biologically informed?
Is what? You said something about a redhead. I didn't get.
If someone is a redhead, is that biologically based or is that biologically informed?
Both. I don't know.
No, it's definitely biologically based. I don't know. What is the distinction? I mean, who cares about this distinction? It's not relevant.
Well, no, it is. So, for example, if someone, which again, most of these people are men, right? If someone has a bunch of testosterone running through their body, like way more than a woman, like a biological woman would have, right? That person is more likely to exhibit signs we would traditionally characterize as masculine, right?
Yeah.
Like they're probably going to be a little more likely to be aggressive. Their voice is going to be deeper, like all this stuff, right?
Okay.
But just because they have that biology, right? Just because they have this testosterone, as like politically correct gender ideology would have it, like that biology does not determine if they're a dude or a woman, right?
Yeah, you
Like
have to
that
kind of
biology-
ask them.
I'm sorry?
You have to ask them how they feel.
Yeah, which doesn't necessarily correspond to their biology, right?
Well, it kind of does, though. Kind of how you
No.
just admitted that your gender does correspond to your biology in the sense that most people are cisgendered. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, most, but we're not, like, again, we wouldn't look at a person who's biologically male. I mean, at least if we're assuming the transgenderism
What?
is a
You
legitimate
wouldn't look at
thing.
somebody... No. Did you realize the error in your sentence? Were you going to
No.
say somebody who's biologically male that we assume that they are cisgendered? Or that we assume that they are male? Because we definitely do that.
I'm saying if we're taking transgenderism to be a legitimate thing, we don't necessarily do that, right?
Are you saying transgenderism is not a legitimate thing?
I mean, that's beside the point, but yeah, that is my position.
Your thought is that transgenderism is not real.
Well, I mean, it's real. Like, I mean, it's something people do, so obviously it's real in that sense, but it's not something we should respect as a society, no? I mean, I feel like we kind of went on a tangent, but yeah.
So, okay, I just want to be clear. Because I've read a lot of different fields of study, specifically around trans people. The psychology acknowledges trans people. Psychiatry also acknowledges the existence of trans people. Biology acknowledges the existence of trans people. Neuroscience also acknowledges the existence of trans people. Medicine acknowledges the existence of trans people. Endocrinology acknowledges the existence of trans people.
Mm-hmm.
Epidemiology acknowledges the existence of trans people. Sociology acknowledges the existence of trans people. And then the consensus among major scientific and medical bodies, from the American Medical Association to the American Psychiatric Association, the American Psychological Association, the Endocrine Society, the World Health Organization, and the American Academy of Pediatrics, all of them are wrong.
I wouldn't say they're wrong, but it's a social
Well, I mean,
thing,
you
so we
said
don't
that
need
it's
to
not
listen to it.
a real thing, right? When all
It's
of
a
those
social
fields of
phenomenon.
study acknowledge the existence of trans people entirely from completely separate viewpoints, right? From, like, if I was talking about the endocrinology versus the neuroscience behind it. Those are two completely separate fields of study. They're able to exhibit the existence of trans people.
That literally makes absolutely no sense.
Okay,
Because
well,
yeah.
let me break it down for you.
Okay.
Endocrinologically speaking, there is hormone replacement therapy, which is considered safe and effective as well as well studied for treating gender dysphoria. The WPATH, or the World Professional Association of Transgender Health, and the Endocrine Society have published evidence-based guidelines regarding trans healthcare. Access to gender-affirming and medical care significantly improves quality of life and reduces suicidality in trans individuals, correct? That's a thing. That's an endocrinology, right? And then we have what? The neuroscience, where we can observe that there are certain neuroimaging studies that have shown trans people's brains often resembles the structure or connectivity patterns more typical to that of their identified gender than their assigned sex at birth. or at least a different brain morphology in comparison. There's also prenatal hormone exposure, which influences gender identity development though with that being said, that's still like ongoing research. There also appears to be some biological diversity in sex characteristics, which demonstrates that sex itself is not strictly binary. For example, with intersex people, challenging a simplistic assumption about gender. And so these are two completely separate fields of study, studying completely separate portions of the brain. And I just want to be clear, they're bullshit.
They're not bullshit. Society's interpretation of them is bullshit, yeah. Like, for example...
So then what exactly is this? You said that you don't acknowledge the existence of trans people.
Yeah.
So what are they observing? What are these phenomenon?
So it's what you said about hormone treatment, right? That if a kid has, or not a kid, if someone has, I guess what we'd call gender dysphoria, that if you give them hormones, I'm not sure if it's their quality of life or their happiness or whatever, but their condition will improve, right? That's what you just said. Just because their condition improves in that, or if like studies say that their condition improves, that does not mean that as a society we need to redefine what a woman is. Like that doesn't follow from what you just said.
No, it's not redefining what a woman is. It's just adding a definition to it. It's understanding the difference between sex and gender. The definition of woman doesn't change. It's the same thing. You could say adult human female, and that doesn't remove transgender individuals, right? Nor does it remove the concept of adult human female. Like, it's still a thing.
I never said anything about adult human female, so that's...
Well, I'm saying, like, as an example, like, it's not revoking the term woman.
Well, it kind of is, though, because...
I said bat earlier, right? You remember that? Where I said bat? I mean, was I really talking about the animal, or was I talking about the object that is used for the sport and hitting a ball around? Was that it? Was that what I was talking about? Or was I talking about the mammal? You're aware that words can have different meanings, right?
Sure.
Yeah, and it doesn't revoke the definition of something. It's just yeah, and this.
Well, no, not really, because before...
Yeah, really. That's what that is.
Before transgenderism made its way into the public, the public sphere...
when do you think transgenderism made its way? Like, do you think it was discovered?
It was made up. It wasn't discovered.
Really?
But it was... yeah.
So... I think it was in the late 1800s when there were people that realized that there were roosters that would not have their gonads intact and found that they attributed hen-like characteristics. That's one thing. Another example is they were able to observe rats that possessed male typical behaviors and female typical behaviors. Female typical behaviors is in terms of a mating. That there were what's called lordosis, where it's basically they just lift their tail up to be mounted. That is a female typical behavior. And then the male typical behavior is mounting. They found that through the increase of a specific hormone over another would increase behaviors of, say, lordosis or mounting. That's made up? That was just, I just want to be clear, that was invented?
None of what you just said has anything to do with human beings. And before you respond...
No, it does actually, because humans exhibit the same level of differences in sex morphology, depending on how much estrogen, how much progesterone they're taking, how much testosterone they're taking. If I, for example, gave you testosterone suppressants and gave you... estrogen for the next 2 years, you would indeed look like a woman. Everything about you'd grow breasts, your fat placement would be different, your skin would feel different. Everything about you would basically be different.
Yeah, so that's true. I agree with you. And I
just want to be clear, right? Because it was invented by your idea, right? This is invented.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, right? When you introduce a specific hormone that it just softens the skin, and you just happen to grow breasts, that was it. We invented that phenomenon.
We created the medicine to facilitate something we invented. Yes.
I'm not talking about the medicine. I'm talking about, don't be disingenuous with me. Be genuine with me.
I really don't think I...
Obviously, what I'm referring to is not the medicine. I'm referring to what happens when you take the medicine. We didn't invent that. We discovered it, right? How your body behaves to hormones is a discovery, not an invention.
Did I say? Yeah, but the prescription that if someone identifies as a gender outside of what they were born with, the idea that the appropriate course of action in that thing is to do all this stuff.
The basis of that exists hormonally.
All this stuff. No, but you already agreed with me that if someone doesn't have any of these hormones going on, but they wholeheartedly identify as a woman and they're biologically a dude,
again, that is so rare it may as well not even exist, right?
Yeah, transgender people are rare too.
What if? Well, here's the thing. Like, I can entertain the idea that there could be an unmarried bachelor, but it doesn't really make that much of a sense, right? It's like we could talk about that, and it's like, I guess, sure, under that hypothetical, sure. Right, I'll have to acknowledge to the bachelor that they're unmarried. Right, because in order to have your hypothetical, I have to acknowledge that existence anyway. So it's kind of like a gotcha as opposed to like acting honestly here.
Well, no, I am acting honestly, and the whole.
All right,
point
so I'm asking you: Are all of the science incorrect? Is all of that science that I had presented, all of it is incorrect? You're correct.
The social interpretation of that science being that we should make transgenderism a part of our society, that is incorrect, yes.
I didn't ask that, whether or not that trans people should be a part of society. I'm saying, you said that they don't exist.
Yeah.
Okay, so all of those fields of science disagree with you. Are all of the science wrong, or are you right?
No, the science is right. The idea that makes people a sex outside of what they were born is incorrect.
Wow, great. I think you could rest yourself quite soundly tonight, because science doesn't actually argue that the sex is gender. That's actually right-wingers that argue that. What they'll tell you is that sex is different from gender. That's what they'll tell you. Yep.
Who will tell you that?
The science. The science will tell you sex is different from gender.
No, and I'll tell you that too. Sex is different from gender. Like that's a fact.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So they're not telling you transgender just means your gender is across from the sex assigned at birth. So obviously they're not telling you that the sex is changing. It's not changing.
Yeah, and neither sex or gender is informed by how you feel. That's the whole point.
Wrong. Gender 100% is informed how you feel.
Nope.
Again, that is empirically reviewed and addressed by multiple fields of study. So once again, is all science wrong, or are you wrong?
You're wrong, because you're missing the point of what I'm saying. The science isn't wrong. If gender is something that is social and sex is something that is biological, right? You can have all these weird abnormalities with your sex.
I don't agree with that. I believe that gender has a basis that exists biologically. And by the way, multiple fields of study also agree with that.
Nope,
I'm not pulling that out of my ass.
No, you already said at the beginning of this debate that if someone is
under the crazy hypothetical, yes, I'm sure that the unmarried bachelor would certainly be unmarried. You're not understanding what I'm saying at all. You're just trying to get it into hyperbole instead of like understanding that, it is kind of that.
No, I'm using a thought experiment because that exposes the logic behind what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, if I propose you an absurd hypothetical, I'm sure you can get some absurd answers. I agree with you.
Well, it's actually not. It's not an absurd hypothetical because
it is an absurd hypothetical.
No, it's not, and I'll explain why. Because you already said, give or take 2% of quote-unquote transgender people don't have the brain thing that you were talking about. So you're saying that
there's multiple aspects to gender.
Yeah. No, but you're
right,
saying
in which I acknowledged right from the get-go. I said that there's multiple aspects to gender, and somehow you think that's a gotcha. That's very bizarre to me.
No, because what I'm saying, right, is that if someone is 100% biologically male, right, male brain, male anatomy, male reproductive system, they got a penis, they got a balls, all this stuff, right, if they go through society, right, as a woman, they identify as a woman, they look like a woman, they dress like a woman, all this stuff, right?
You're just repeating yourself. I mean, do you have anything else for me? I mean, this is it, man. You're at the end of the rope. You just keep repeating the same thing as if it's a gotcha. I keep trying to explain myself over and over, and then you repeat yourself again. Do you have anything else?
Yeah. If I'm biologically 100% a male and I'm socially 100% a woman, you'd agree that's a thing that can happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my gender is not informed by my biology at that point, correct?
Wrong.
Okay.
You're just repeating the same thing. Do you have anything else?
No, because you're lying. Because you're agreeing.
I'm
with
lying.
Me. The
All right.
gender
All right.
is completely separate
All right.
from biology. And
Good talk. Good talk. Good talk. Good talk.
Okay.
You don't call me a liar. Nope. Don't call me a liar. I'm being entirely very honest with people when I am making a specific predication. Don't call me a liar. Really good way of pissing me off. I'm sorry. Anyway, go be a transphobe, I guess. Just be like a gross transphobe. I'm not going to be in that camp.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
We got another phone call. I think it's the same person. You're on the line with First Amender.
Hello, Amender. How you doing?
Is this Stinkdink?
You're doing what?
Is this Stinkdink?
I cannot confirm nor deny that. But I have been listening to your argument. I noticed that you are using a lot of bad faith argumentation, if I must say.
Why don't you tell me about it?
Yeah. Appeal to authority. I noticed that you never read my WPATH files as well when it comes to these claims that you made, especially when it comes to quote-unquote detransitioning rates. Have you read that yet? Or are you still proclaiming that it's a PDF after you unironically just persisted and say that you doxed someone just live on the internet right now?
All I said is this is Stinkdink. Do you actually want to have a conversation, or do you want to just make
No. So first off, you cannot proclaim something to be like inherently bad faith after you proposition an entirely constructive narrative on how you managed to dox this person or find out what they are. It's called phone booking, by the way, and narrate this schema, right? This framework of another person. It's kind of fucked up.
What?
It's kind of fucked up. You're painting a picture in order to dispel another person's argument. What is that, Amender?
Well, for starters, I don't think you understand what an argument from authority is.
Dude, you literally did that. First off, right?
Yeah. So
you insisted.
Okay, let's all listen to Stinkdink, everybody.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that because I just saw you do that to like 3 other people with me. So when you persist and say, "Oh, well, I have all these studies," right? By the way, studies that have replication issues you should not be using them in an argument. By the way, because that puts holes in your argument. Like that one said that you have, that study has yet to be replicated, nor it has proof to be replicated yet.
So let's say there's something wrong with your heart.
Let's use an example. Here's a classical think example of argument from authority. Let's just say that I have it on good hand that bug breaking exists, right? And I know lots and lots of sources that would proclaim.
Can we not talk about bug breaking on my channel?
Why not?
I would appreciate it.
Why not? Like after all, P Diddy is released. P Diddy is fucking free from jail, right? He's running around with the baby oil, with the Diddy oil. Why would you not want to talk about bug breaking? It's the truth now. It's the truth. I proclaim it as the truth. I have it on good authority now from multiple people and with my own eyes. Bug breaking is real.
Now
do you agree with that?
Now that is an actual appeal to authority. By the way.
Exactly. And what you did earlier was exactly that.
No, because a relevant authority is not an appeal to authority. It's providing an argument with examples from people who know what they're talking about. If somebody, for example, gets a doctorate in a particular field,
from a university without providing an example is not an appeal to authority.
A relevant authority is not an appeal to authority. That is only referencing when the entire argument is the fact that they are an authority. But there are people that are well studied in a particular subject, and bringing up the arguments from people that are well studied in the subject is not an appeal to authority. Do you understand? So bringing up relevant authorities, no, it's not. Like,
without providing the citation or the argument, it is an appeal to authority. Because guess who taught me that, Amanda?
All right, I am muting you. You have been muted. Nobody can hear you. Nobody can hear you. Just FYI, right? I'm chill for starters. Just please, for God's sakes, chill. If you want to have the conversation, we can have the conversation. You need to pull up your basic logic book regarding fallacies. Bringing up a relevant authority is not an appeal to authority. Just Google this. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass by saying that. All right.
You have always blown smoke up people's asses. And the fact that you go around and you still baddening me. By the way, I have people's text messages. And they say, oh, the First Amendment's always talking about you. And I'm like, well, I haven't been on Discord. I deleted my account.
Yeah, you're hilarious. Yes, you're hilarious. Yes, I talk about you.
No, nothing like, Stinkdink's a bad faith arguer, right? You know, that's really funny, right? And then after that, I heard you try to get someone banned because they sound like me.
What?
Did that happen?
I don't get people banned because they sound like you.
Really, because someone told me that, and they sent me Discord DMs of someone from NDD saying that, hey, someone from First Amendment group is saying that, right?
First Amendment group? What group do I have? What do you mean?
You're ball watchers, right? I've been making fun of Daniel Hume, and Daniel Hume still has yet to respond to my Dusty Zing.
All right, hold on. Hey.
You have a in-group
Why not come on? Hold on. If you want to have a comment, shut up. No.
First off.
All right, you're muted again. You've been muted. Nobody can hear you. You can scream into the void. Nobody can hear you. So, if you want to talk about Daniel Hume, I will stay completely quiet for you. I will just let you and Daniel Hume go. And then you and Daniel Hume can have at it. But you got to show up on the Modern Day Debate open member stage. If you just show up and hold your hand up, then you can have the discussion. All right? So I'm gonna unmute you now.
Oh, I'm here.
Yeah, do you want to show up on the Modern Day Debate stage and we'll invite you up? Because Daniel can hear you, but you will not be able to hear him because this is a phone call. This is a phone call between you.
Well, no, I don't care about that. That's why I'm talking directly to you, because guess what? I don't want to go back on Discord. You know that Discord is now being investigated by the federal government for child trafficking? And I know this on first hand because I have documentation from my contractors.
This guy's amazing.
So I would advise you, right? If you're a big, smart, brainiac person, stop using Discord as a platform.
I guess you got to stop using Discord then. Darn.
Well, I'm saying you.
Why would I stop using Discord? I love Discord.
Because you're obviously on Discord. Because you already established that already. You insisted I had to go to Modern Day Debate, right?
Yeah, show up on Modern Day Debate. Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna do it. I don't want to make another account, right? I don't want your fucking I don't want to be associated with Discord, right? Is that simple?
Okay, then don't be on Discord. It was nice knowing you, I guess.
No, I'm not on Discord. Can you provide proof that I'm on Discord?
I don't know.
Well, you're the one who says that I'm on Discord, right? And which is funny because Daniel Hume was saying something about evidence. I assume
you are on Discord. You're known to be on Discord.
I want to see evidence from you, right now on screen that I am on Discord.
All right. You know, I wanted to say that you sound like a crazed lunatic homeless guy, but unfortunately, that would be uncharitable to the homeless guys.
No, yeah, I can say that you sound like a guy who probably has like a dildo shoved to his ass, right? Wow. I've already seen the dildo picture that someone else.
A big dildo. You want to see it?
I mean, you can show it, right? Just don't get mad and start screaming for people to ban them when they start spreading it around, right?
Yeah, they start harassing me with it. Yeah, of course I'm gonna give them trouble. Are you kidding?
So then why?
I don't think that people should be harassed, whether I like them or not.
Right?
Like, I don't think we should harass people. You
want to show it to me, right? Which I would infer that if you show it on camera, people are going to screenshot that and they're going to make fun of you of it again.
Okay, I mean, just don't use it against me, I guess. It's kind of weird.
Don't use it against you, despite the fact that you are on the internet when you are being marketed.
I just don't believe that people should.
I don't know. Like if you don't want to be used against you, then why are you engaging in debates, Mr. I have to question, Mr. I question people's epistemology?
Yeah.
If you don't want that, then why are you doing it?
I don't know what you want from me, Stinkdink. I don't know why you completely lose your mind around me.
First, I want you to admit that you are a liar, right? Entirely to your entire audience, because I heard you multiple times live that you are indeed a liar. It's okay to admit you are a liar, right?
I do not lie.
Being honest about it. Being honest about it is a good thing, right? I don't know why you have to lie to yourself. That's a narcissist, right? I think I told you a narcissist in another chat where by saying like, "Oh, I'm not a liar. I not do these things." That's a thing that my mom did, right? You know, my had mom who was a narcissist who also said she didn't lie.
Well, you got every chance in the world to tell the entire world just how awful I am. You've got it. You've did it. You've got the audience.
I'm doing it right
the
now
audience is here.
by broadcasting my voice. I'm doing that right now.
Yes, and you got it, dude. They love it. They love you.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. And guess what? People are probably going to clip this, and they're going to probably spread it to other people. In fact, they might spread it to like harmful opinions.
Yeah, and then point it in my face and put it on the Kiwi forums.
Yeah, I'm masturbating to this right now. I'm getting to it.
All right, I'll give you the last word there, Master Troll.
I just want to say you're a poopy head.
Okay, I'm a poo-poo head.
You're just a bad-faced poopy head.
All right, good talk. It's nice talking to you, Stinkdink.
If I could say something in defense of Stinkdink.
What?
I mean, he did try to buy a book on fallacies, but he actually just bought on fallacies, and he got all
his arguments
confused after that happened. So it is what it is, It's like now he can't understand it anymore,